Kia ora and welcome back to another episode.
Just teasing again. Carry on.
Thank you, mate. Of the CouchSide Sports Report. Yeah, episode 16 for the year, coming out on August the 18th at 8 a.m. And thank you for joining once again. I am Simon, that is Dylan, and we have plenty of sport to talk about today, mostly local, some more international, and mostly just some recaps, but also some previews for the first couple of tests in August for some of our national rugby teams, and also just previewing some international competitions and some other recaps as well. Dylan, how have you been?
Good. I don't think anybody would be surprised that New Zealand sport is dominated by rugby around this point in time.
Of course it is.
Which just kind of explains most of New Zealand sport for our entire existence. Anyway, but no, we've got plenty to talk about. Like I thought I'd just say before, like the international stuff is coming through.
Yep.
NFL's finished their first week of preseason. Shout out to my Steelers getting a good W, even though it's preseason. We've got heaps of football leagues, the big football leagues at least. Some of them have started up.
Some of them have.
But the real big one, let's be real here, the Premier League properly starts up next week.
And if Dylan remembered, we will be doing our predictions for the Premier League today.
That I am ready for. Don't worry about that, baby.
Good.
Don't worry about that. As soon as this, actually, it was randomly this week I started making them as well.
Well, today's Monday.
It was sorry. That's a very good point. But no, I didn't make them today. I made them last week.
I made mine today.
It was while I was at work, very early morning at work. I was just like, you know what, stuff. Let's do it now.
Yep.
So I've got them. Don't worry.
I've got mine too. I'll probably change one on the fly, but I've got mine. But before we get started, once again,
Yes,
we heavily encourage you to check out our socials. Please check us out.
Heavily encouraged.
Heavily encouraged at couchside.network on both Instagram and TikTok.
Yes,
More
sir.
shorts coming out on there very soon. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to us here on YouTube or follow us here on Spotify, depending where you're listening. And give the podcast a like if you liked it. You know,
Please.
If you make it all the way to the end, give it a like, give it a comment if you want. Tell us if we're right, if we're wrong, but more importantly, don't be a dick.
Facts.
And that seems to be one of our many catchphrases on the podcast now.
Very true.
Well, we should probably just get on with it.
Yeah, let's rock it, man.
Local sport. We're starting off with what was a very crazy round of NPC. It started off with Wellington getting yet another beat down on them.
Come on, my North Harbour brethren, mate.
Unfortunately, it
What
was
is
the
going
North
on?
Harbour. I think their injury struck. I think they probably didn't account for as many of their players being on All Blacks duty. Which, you know, happens to the best teams, you'd say. But for Wellington, they go down 47-7. Northland then put Taranaki to the sword, 42-0 in Whangarei.
Feel like Taranaki is one of those teams as well. Like we were just saying with Wellington, that's probably suffering from a lot of guys. Well, I say a lot of guys. Their main guy, especially, playing for the All Blacks right now.
Yep, and they've also now lost Bradley Slater, and they could be losing more players with injury call-ups beckoning for the All Blacks, which we'll talk about later on. In a classic of a Ranfurly Shield match, Canterbury, in front of 20,000 fans at home, managed to put Bay of Plenty to the sword 33-28. Unlucky that the Steamers couldn't pick up the log of wood, but Canterbury will be happy that they retained it.
I was watching this on stats as well, and I believe the halftime score was 21-7 to Canterbury, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Here we go.
But then Bay of Plenty stormed to a comeback, and if it wasn't for, I think it was a 72nd minute try by Canterbury, I can't remember who scored it, but if it wasn't for that, man, Bay of Plenty could have been taking that away, so fair play to them.
They're always a good team on their day. And then another local result for us, Auckland narrowly going down to Hawke's Bay, 31-44. Some positive.
Talk us through it because you watched it.
I mostly watched the first half. The second half, I was a bit more occupied eating. But, Auckland had some bright spots in this game. Hawke's Bay are also a very good team. They're now 3-0 to start the competition. They're usually one of the better teams in NPC. Stan Sullivan at NPC level was a cheat code for Hawke's Bay. I don't think anyone's doubting that. But for the Blues, Xavier Tiley was playing well. Stephen Petafeta was playing well. He's obviously off the cannon in Japan. But interesting, Xavier Tiley wasn't included on a post the Blues made of players who were leaving the team, even though it had been rumored he was leaving the Blues. Instead, Corey Evans, Cole Forbes, Lachlan McWonnell, and Terrell Petia, Harold Pater, I forgot what order the letters in his name are.
I do say I would have been surprised if Taele had left because he is by far going to be. I think he's going to be the starting 12 for the Blues. I know Arki's there. Ioane's coming back, probably occupying that 13. I'm sure we'll talk about him later on. But Taele is the starting 12 for me, so I'd be very surprised if he left, knowing he would get a starting role at what, he's 21?
Yeah, and when Proctor was injured, I saw a lot of people say, well, who else do we have at centre? And Tylee was mentioned quite often in those talks. Maybe a bit too soon, but he was mentioned. But that's unlucky for Auckland. They only go down by 13 to one of the best teams in the competition.
Yeah.
Still put up 31 points. Otago narrowly beat the Turbos in Manawa 229-27. And in another classic of a game, Southland in the 81st minute score a try to beat Waikato 32-31.
Yep.
Great win for the Stags. And then Counties Manukau scored 35 but conceded 50 to Tasman at home. Currently Maifalo with 5 tries.
I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do, by the way.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? You really have 3 wingers, elite wingers.
Yep.
KT, when he had game time with the Chiefs, was awesome. Pretty much scored every game. He like properly started and played. Leroy Carter's an All Black, and Moni Nada was an All Black. So what are you going to do? Like, Damien McKenzie is playing 10 because Jacob's off to the Highlanders.
Well, one of them will probably just, I have a feeling, will be the 23, which is crazy because I think I'd rather have an out-and-out fullback and someone like Isaac Hutchinson at 15. So
That's what I'm saying, but
I think one of them's either going to play out of position at 15. It'd be Nadawa or Tomaifalo. Tomaifalo. Or one of them's at 23. But we'd have to wait and see because Super Rugby's a long way away.
Yeah, this is a good point.
But just a key point on KT is that he's eligible for New Zealand before the Bledisode series. So if you didn't know, he played for Tonga at the last World Cup, but he hasn't played for them since.
Yeah.
Since he moved to the Chiefs, it pretty much meant that he was basically stepping down from Tongan call-ups because he's contracted to New Zealand Rugby via the Chiefs.
Yep.
And he is eligible from this Bledisode series. Hot off the press, Caleb Clark is out for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, he's already flown back here to New Zealand. It's a massive loss.
Huge.
Huge loss. Place in the starting test for South Africa wasn't guaranteed, but he definitely would have been a guy you would want in that squad.
Yep.
But a lot of people are saying post South Africa, with the Bledisode in mind, they will be down a winger. Does KT sneak in? Obviously, it'll probably be a smaller squad, so maybe he doesn't. But if he keeps up scoring 5 tries in NPC for Tasman, I'd be having a look at him. But obviously, there's other wingers, I think, ahead of him on the ranks. But I think with Fehe as well, supposedly still leaving to go to England, he can still play for New Zealand until November. But we're looking at KT probably as someone who maybe takes his place next year if they don't go back on their eligibility rules. To
me, KT, as long as he continues to get proper game time in Super Rugby, and also there's no devastating injury, I think that's a guy I'd be very surprised if he's not capped as an All Black at some point in the next World Cup cycle.
Absolutely.
So we're talking we're talking 2028 on, especially with wingers, where wingers for pretty much for all of time, let's call it that, have pretty much been picked on form.
Yeah.
And if you're going to continue to score 19, I would say most of the time.
Yeah, I think of one example, but go on.
Yeah. But when you're, with him, he's scoring 9 to 10 tries. He scored 9 to 10 tries for these last 2 Super Rugby seasons.
Yeah.
Let's say he does that for another 2. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic option to have there. So I'd be surprised if he's not. But 5 tries, I think it's equaling an NPC record.
Yeah.
Is mad.
It's insane. And he's still a very young player, even though he's played for Tonga at the international level 3 years ago. So we'll see what happens with KT and his eligibility for the All Blacks and what his position at the Chiefs is next year. As we switch codes over to the NRL, and this was a big week for a lot of teams. It basically knocked out some of the last few remaining teams from finals contention, or at least made their road to finals very difficult.
Yeah.
Starting off, the Roosters did not do the Warriors a solid.
No.
And defeated the Panthers 12-6, taking the number 1 spot on the ladder for themselves with 3 rounds
That
to go.
Roosters team is on an absolute flyer at the
They're
moment.
doing very well. They've got some of the best players in the game. They've obviously got an aging Dale Cherry Evans, who has already agreed to move to Hull next year in Super League. Famously, he won the premiership in his first season at Manly in the NRL.
Yep.
What if he wins an NRL premiership in his last season in the NRL?
That would be a pretty crazy story.
I hope not if the Warriors are involved in that.
Agreed.
But as we move on, the Dolphins obviously rubber-stamped finals a few weeks ago, and they've made it hard for the Sea Eagles to get into finals now with a 22-0 win away in Sydney. The Rabbitohs as well, basically handing the Bulldogs you're probably not going to make finals card with a 22-6 win in Sydney. The Sharks narrowly going down to the Raiders, 20-24. I believe they're still in the top 8.
The Sharks?
The Sharks,
The Sharks.
or maybe they've just fallen out. The Eels got a win for them over the Cowboys, 32-30. Before we get into the big game, the Knights beat the Titans 36-26, and then the Dragons defeated the West Tigers 24-22, which means the team who played the Warriors are now genuinely at risk of winning this. Well, not winning.
I was about to say.
Winning, but receiving their second wooden spoon in 7 seasons. And we're obviously talking about the New Zealand Warriors' trip to Suncorp to play the Broncos in what was a 40-6 win for the Warriors. It was a very, very good performance. It was, the same shit we saw against Penrith. It was, it was physical, it was unrelenting, but obviously didn't come without any issues. Luke Metcalf pulling his hamstring while taking a conversion kick halfway through the game. Probably typical wait time is 2 to 4 weeks, but with Metcalf's previous issues with his hamstring, who knows how long it's going to be. He obviously just got back for the game against Penrith, played very well, was playing well in this game, and then is,
It's just tough. It's just tough.
It's tough.
This is both the blessing and curse of sport, right? It's tough. I feel so sorry for the bro. But look, maybe it is a 2 to 4 weeker, like you said, and we could see him at some point through finals.
Yeah.
But it's tough, dude. But
it's also not ideal that Chance Nickel Clockside was sent for 10 for a hip drop and has been banned for the next 2 games. So it does.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it makes picking.
That is huge.
It means picking the team for the future Warriors games is a little bit difficult when Tamati Martin is also currently still injured as well. But before we get into that, this game in particular,
let's go this game, man.
Every single player who started in the back line except Luke Metcalf touchdown for a try in this game. Leka Halasima is still playing out of his mind at centre, which is wonderful to see. Lofi Carrera, I completely butchered that. Lofi Camperera scored a beautiful intercept try deep in our own half. It was just great performances all around. The forwards were great. The backs were great. It was just clicking. Brisbane didn't know what they were doing.
Brisbane have, because they won it last year, right?
Yeah.
That's a far ass fall to take.
They are possibly going to be, I believe, would be the first ever team to win a premiership and then be wooden spooners the following year.
That is madness.
And there's barely been any change to that team apart from injuries. It's
that's
just been players losing form.
Reece Walsh actually got injured in this game as well.
And a case of maybe the team not gelling. A lot of people were saying that the coach, Michael Maguire's lost the dressing room. We know how good of a coach he is. He won a premiership last year. He won State of Origin with New South Wales recently. He was the Kiwis coach recently and did a superb job. So
I was actually hearing this is not anything confirmed. This is just fans talking. I heard somebody say that the Broncos, it must be Michael Maguire, put them through quite a hard preseason last year.
That's what he's known for doing.
And supposedly this year it sounds like he laxed off a bit, and this is what happened. So I'd hate to know what the next preseason is going to look like for the Broncos, but if that's true. But I don't think
he
it is.
might be sending them to prison at this rate.
True, but this is also. I did say that I thought this game might be a trap game. This is built for a trap game, and the Warriors have fallen for multiple trap games this year. Let's be real here, but absolutely was not. You're right. That back line was awesome. If Ali Leataua and Leka Halasima, the way that they're playing now, are our centre pairing, good luck everybody else.
Yeah,
it's scary.
It is quite scary, and we've got more players coming in next year, players leaving next year, players coming back from injury. It's going to be really interesting.
Chance is a huge loss, but the one thing the Warriors had this year, man, is depth. I didn't even realise Jackson Ford is still injured.
Yeah.
That was not noticed by me at all.
No, and he was the standout player to start the season.
He was when he was at the top of the Dally M, bro.
Yeah.
Is it a prop? Is that what his
Yeah,
position?
it's a
10?
prop, yeah.
It's a prop. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like we're missing him. But our depth is going to get tested at halves. Let's be real here.
Now, because I think Chance filled in at 7 at this game.
Yep.
Because of Luke's injury. A lot of people still feel very hesitant of him moving to 7 temporarily for the next couple of games. I feel like if it's either that,
You're talking about Chance, he can't anyway.
or it's Jet Cleary at 7, man. I don't know if we're giving Jet Cleary the shot right now. The more realistic option is probably Luke Hansen coming back into the team to play at 6. Or it's probably at 6 and you have Chanel at 7.
Chanel's magnificent, by the way.
He is great.
Can I just say, that guy doesn't get enough credit because he is the one stalwart in that halves pretty much. I mean, this has been really for years now.
I mean, he did leave temporarily and come back.
Yes.
He had a gap year, which you don't see many athletes doing that, and maybe that is a good thing to do.
But who knows? But he is awesome.
He's been excellent at 6. I think, for these next couple of games, we just need someone at 7. We probably want players who can play. And we can't even put Topiki at 6 because then who's going to go at fullback? We don't have Chance. It's a question of who the hell is going to play. I saw some people saying that we might have to play Leka Halasima at 6. I'm like, I know you can do a lot, but I don't know if I'm putting him at 6.
I might try it,
I saw some people suggest Aaron Clark, which wouldn't be the worst option, but even then he's so good at lock, we probably don't want to move him from there. Whatever Webby comes up with for the next couple of games will be interesting. Does Timati Martin suddenly come back from injury quicker? Does Jai Linning from New South Wales Cup get a shot as well? There's Luke Hansen, obviously. There's Jet Cleary as a potential option as well. We will wait and see.
Let's just put it this way. If I want to keep coming on here and talking about how deep the Warriors are this year, it's going to get tested right now.
Yeah.
And what is key positions in those halves. So it'll be interesting to see what Webby comes up with. But this was a great game, pretty much dominant for us from start to finish. But let's give them a little table update.
Yeah, well, I've got the table up today because I decided I wanted to. But basically, there are 3 games to go this season. The Warriors quite haven't wrapped up top 4 yet, but they are currently 4 points clear of the Sharks, who are 5th. A win in the next game for the Warriors will practically confirm top 4.
Yeah.
There's still the possibility of sneaking a minor premiership or moving up into 2nd, but we'll talk about that in a little bit because we'll quickly have a look at the playoffs, how the top 8 currently look. Now, the Cowboys are currently on 8th on 28 points. I believe they still have a bye. So they have a bye, so that essentially means they're on 30 points. So the cutoff for top 8 is currently 30 points with 3 games to go. The Bulldogs are on 26 points. The Seagulls are on 24 points, and the Storm and the Raiders are also are on 24 points. The Raiders are also on 24 points, and they will also get a bye. But this is a case of the Raiders need to win 2 games in a row. The Storm need to win 3 games in a row. The Seagulls need to win 3 games in a row. The Bulldogs need to win 2 games in a row. The Bulldogs are probably in the best position because their points difference is better than the Cowboys, but they're still 2 points behind them. The Seagulls in 10th have a 46-point differential, which is positive, but they're 4 points off the Cowboys. 6 because the Cowboys are guaranteed to be on 30 points. So I think it's going to be fairly unrealistic to see any team which is currently not in the top 8 break into the top 8.
Yeah.
And I did mention before about the wooden spoon. The Dragons are only 4 points behind the Broncos and the Titans. If they win 2 of their next games, the Broncos drop the rest of theirs by a big enough point differential, the Broncos could be at the bottom of the table again. But that's just speculative. It's crazy it's come to this, but it's speculative. The top 8, as it stands, like I said, the Cowboys are currently on 28 points. That will at some stage become 30 at least because they have a bye. The Rabbitohs are on 30 points already. In seventh, the Knights and the Sharks are both on 32 points. The Knights are sixth. The Sharks are fifth. The Dolphins are fourth presently on 34 points, just 2 points behind the Warriors and the Panthers. The Warriors are now just 10 points off the Panthers in point differential, which is crazy.
Yeah.
We've made that much ground. And then on 38 points, you have the Roosters, but the Warriors have over 110 points on them on differential.
Yeah.
So in any instance that the Roosters drop 2 games and the Warriors go perfect in the next 3, then there's a high chance they could be minor premiers, depending on what Penrith do. Now, if we look to next week,
that would be an awesome moment. I'm not going to, because of course the the ideal is you win the title at the end of the day.
Yes.
But winning a minor premiership would be an awesome moment.
it would be amazing. Something we've only done once before.
Yeah.
A very long time ago. But looking into next week, the Panthers probably have the easiest run out of all of the teams in that top 3 going forward, I think. Or maybe it's the Roosters, and I believe it is the Roosters who... No, it'd be the Panthers. The Panthers, for context, are away to the Storm on Thursday. Now, like we said, the Storm season is basically over unless they go on a miracle 3-game win. If any team's going to do it, it's going to be the Storm. I think they'll be up for this game against Penrith, but Penrith are heavily favoured. It will be tough for the Storm to win this, but a Storm win here would be great for the Warriors.
Yep.
As on that same weekend, on the Saturday, the Warriors are away to the Rabbitohs. The Rabbitohs are currently in 7th. So they are
That is
a
a
playoff
no
team.
slouch game.
It's a no slouch game, but the Warriors are probably pretty confident with this one. They are the bookies' favourites by a decent margin. So I feel like for the Warriors, they will be confident they could get the win. They can match the Panthers' result against the Storm. And then the Roosters on Sunday host the Tigers. Now, the Tigers have been a bit of a mess this season, but they are 14th. They're not going to win the spoon. Unless something goes even more wrong.
Yes.
This should be an easy Roosters win. This is practically a Roosters dub. You could probably, and if the Roosters don't win, that would be a massive surprise, and it would be a gift for the Warriors and Penrith, because they're probably favoured to win their games as well. The following week, if we go for a few days, the Panthers host the Bulldogs. Again, the Bulldogs need a miracle to make the top 8, but they will be up for this game against Penrith. They'll be thinking they can get a result, continue this run. The Roosters do have to host the Dolphins. This could go either way. There's no odds on these games yet, but this would be another result where the Warriors and Penrith are like, a loss here would really help us out. And the Warriors host the Knights on the Sunday afternoon. The Knights are in 6th as well. So the Warriors play 2 teams in the top 8 back-to-back in their next 2 games. At least one of these games at home. The Knights is usually a team we have their number against. They are a good team, but I think the Warriors will be favoured for this. And then we come to the final week of NRL, which is the first week of September. You have a huge test for the Roosters. They're playing the Bunnies. This is a rivalry game. This is another top 8 team. It's going to be tough for both teams. Again, the Roosters, they probably have the hardest schedule out of everyone because they're playing teams. Well, the first team they're playing is the Tigers, who aren't that good. But then they're playing the Dolphins, and then they're playing Rabbitohs. They're tough teams to play. It will be difficult. The Warriors then play the Sea Eagles the following day. By this point in time, the Sea Eagles are probably out of finals contention. So that is probably the Sea Eagles just playing for pride at this point. And then the Panthers host the Tigers. So both the Panthers and the Roosters get to play the Tigers. The Tigers is probably a game that they're going to lose both of these games to Penrith and the Roosters. Hello, Mr. Cat. But that is the outlook for the Warriors. They win the next 3 games to finish the season. There's a good chance that Penrith and or Sydney cough up a loss. We could end up in 2nd. We could end up in 1st. But no matter what, we probably have to play one of those teams in finals at some point, and that's when it matters.
So pretty much the goal is the same as it always is. Win.
There
we go.
Moving on to more rugby league with the NRLW. To quickly recap the results not containing the New Zealand Warriors, the Titans defeated the Dragons 26-10. The Eels defeated the Bulldogs 30-18. The Broncos lost to the Roosters 20-34, which is essentially the 2 mega powers of NRLW going at it. The Knights lost to the Raiders 18-25. The Cowboys lost to the Sharks 30-18, and the result there, you actually watched this game.
I did.
The Tigers went down narrowly to the Warriors. The Warriors narrowly went down to the West Tigers 30-22. In Australia, Dylan, what were your thoughts on this encounter?
Yeah, so first of all, I was glad to be able to finally watch one of the Wahines games. Let's put it that way. I've been, I'd either been doing something or I'd been out somewhere when their games are on. This weekend, I was not. Yep. So I was glad to be able to watch it. This was I believe they were 4th and 5th on the table at the time. I believe the Warriors have now dropped to 6th. But I'll tell you what, man. First of all, some great rugby league being played. Some great, just in general. If you want to watch some great rugby league, this NRLW has got it for you, as well as the NRL. But in terms of the Wahines, man, I say this very carefully because, the Roosters are a fantastic team. And, you got the Broncos there and stuff. But, man, in the next 2 to 3 years, if the Wahines can keep this team together and continue to develop them, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Like, you can kind of tell that a lot of that team is still kind of learning the game of rugby league. For example, Patricia Maliepo, who, of course, played for the Blues, but is now playing hooker. So she's playing number 9. There was times where, where the decision probably should have been to let the ball go and pass it, where she held it probably for too long, or maybe where a gap was and she decided to pass it out instead. So there's still those sort of decision-making things there with her. Stacey Waka, you put any sport that has rugby in front of it, and she's awesome at it.
Oh, yeah.
She was awesome. You've got Ekanasio, who was scoring tries on the wing. Gail Broughton puts that team together and holds them together at half at 7. And at least the 2 new signings that I remember, Mele Hufanga, who's huge for a centre, can I just say. And also, I believe it's Nui Sala, who's at number 8, a prop. That's another prop.
Yep.
They're fantastic experience into this team. Also, I can't remember her first name. She came off the bench. Butler. I believe her last name was Butler, number 15. Boy, she could hit it up, man. But yeah, this for this Wahines team, I think it's only a matter of time before everybody else around, those experienced players starts to figure out this game. And when we start to figure out this game, we have a shot at, competing with the Roosters and Broncos and things like that in the NRLW. So it's only a matter of time. But the West Tigers, to put it simply, the West Tigers won the key moments and the Warriors didn't.
Yeah,
that's and the fact that the Warriors have only been back for 2-3 years now, and that's again, against the quality side, that's what's happening. I'll take that any day of the week. So it's only a matter of time.
Yep, I think it's massive untapped potential in the New Zealand market.
Yep.
With the Warriors women's team, I think it was always going to become good at some stage. I think probably the first 2 to 3 years, this is currently year 2 of them being back, it was going to still be building the foundation, getting everyone back in the system, obviously bringing over some people from union as well.
Yep.
In a couple of seasons' time, I think they will be right up there if they can hold on to those key pieces and keep on bringing in.
It's happening faster than I thought it would.
Yep.
Let's put it that way.
Hopefully
it carries on that way for the Wahines.
And they take on the Rabbitohs they take on the Roosters, which will be a very tough task in Sydney on Sunday at 3:45 p.m. New Zealand time.
That'll be a great tester for them. I don't think they win it.
No.
But it'll be a great tester to see how we've actually developed.
It absolutely will be. Moving on to more women's sport and more women's rugby, the Black Ferns essentially had a bit of a trial game. Black Ferns versus the Black Ferns 15 on the weekend. The Black Ferns did win that 62-19. This is in preparation for their first test of the year. I thought they played a game earlier in the year for some reason. I must be mistaken. I thought they played.
I'm trying to think of why.
I thought they played games like in April or May or something. I might be wrong, but their first
Would
test...
that have been the World Cup?
No, World Cup was last year.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Why do you say it like that?
I don't know, because...
So you mean the World Cup?
No, I thought... I was more trying to be like, don't you mean the World Cup?
No.
That's what I was more trying to say.
You sounded
but
like...
it sounded very monotone.
you sounded like the Rock impersonating Rikishi. But
I did it for the Rock.
I did it for the
I
Rock.
did it for the people. I'm not going to say the rest because probably get demonetized.
No,
but
well, we're not even making off this anyway.
No,
so
but you get my point. I'm taking my chance. I'm not taking my chance.
But at least the first test of August, at least,
Yes.
is against Australia. this Saturday at 3:05 p.m. at Mount Smart Stadium. So this will
sir.
be hopefully another comfortable New Zealand win, but also it's good to see the Black Ferns back out on the park.
Yeah, man.
Get to see some new faces in there, and obviously some old returning heroes of the team as they look to build towards the next World Cup in 2029.
Yes, sir.
And moving on to a team building towards a World Cup, which is a lot closer. You have the All Blacks on rugby's greatest rivalry tour. 2 games have been played since we were last here. They played the Sharks midweek, and they also played the Bulls on Sunday. I did not watch much of the game against the Sharks, but I did watch the entirety of the game against the Bulls.
And my sleep schedule is so fucked up
And-
that I've watched because I've watched every single South African game in South Africa so
And
far.
it only gets worse with the 3 a.m. kickoff for the
Exactly,
test,
dude.
starting on Saturday or Sunday?
It's Sunday morning.
Sunday. Okay, that's a
Sunday
bit
morning New Zealand time.
That's fine. But if we look at the Sharks game, after a shaky start against the Stormers, the All Blacks put the Sharks to the sword. This was more of a test team in
Yes,
action.
absolutely.
54-0. But probably the most talked about part of this match was the man himself, a legend of the game, Ma'ononu, named on the bench for the Sharks.
Yep.
The All Blacks do the haka, and Ma'ononu steps up by himself and performs it right back at them. Probably one of the coolest moments
Crying
in
moment.
rugby. It's something that you kind of would assume you'd be like, surely Ma'a's doing a haka, and you never knew if he was going to.
Yeah.
But the fact he actually did it was amazing.
Freaking awesome, man.
But it was a very good performance from the All Blacks. The likes of Ruben Love and Damien McKenzie playing in that 10 to 15 roles. We still haven't seen Cameron Roigard or Ardie Savea or Will Jordan on this tour, but we will hopefully see them very soon. We'll talk about their fitness leading up to this. But you watched this game against the Sharks, 54-0. Is a pretty emphatic scoreline.
It is a pretty emphatic scoreline.
What were the big takeaways and what were the minor setbacks or major setbacks if there were any?
So the biggest takeaway for me was the Geordie Barrett haters need to stop.
I think they're gone now.
No, they're not.
Well,
trust there's one or two there, but they need to stop.
I feel like we're mostly retreated away. I think the only people of note with anything to do with Geordie Barrett right now, the people who think he should still maybe play in other positions in some games, well, I feel like at this point he is solely a 12 unless it is a break, glass, and emergency situation.
Well, let's put it this way. Our back line looks nowhere near the same.
No.
Without him playing there.
Oh, absolutely not.
In that 12 role. And you could see it from the game against the Stormers to the game we played against the Sharks. And I know these are club teams. The All Blacks should probably win these anyway.
Yeah.
But our backline just doesn't run the same without him there. And I don't think it has for years. That it runs the same without Geordie Barrett there compared to with him there. That was my biggest takeaway. Quintu Paia had a very solid game in this one. It's been since Wednesday. I'm trying to remember who was the
putting you on the spot.
Who was the big ones in this one. But the biggest takeaway for me by far was the Geordie Barrett haters need to stop.
Yep.
He just doesn't run the same without him in the back line. No. I'm like, you could put McKenzie at 10, you could put Love at 10, Moanga at 10. It's just not the same.
Yeah, Moanga at 10. Well, since the last podcast,
there
has been hot news off the press once again. Richie Moanga is back in the All Black squad. Now, we didn't see him against the Bulls, obviously, because he had been called up a few days before that game. Does he even crack the match day 23 against the Springboks in the first test? We will have to wait and see. I think
we will preview that, though, very soon.
We will preview that very soon. Also, in terms of other injuries, we mentioned Caleb Clark is out for the rest of the season. And also, Ollie Norris has been sent home as well, so that leaves a potential
prop spot.
But Noah Hotham has also been called back in because there was a slight injury to Cortez Ratama in the next game we're going to talk about. Although I didn't actually notice he was injured in that game.
No, neither did I.
But it's good to have another scrum half because it felt like we were getting a bit light in that position. I think Cortez had already been established as the third option out of 3 in that squad by this point. But
or actually more the second option out of 3 because you have Roigard, Ratama, and then Preston.
I mean, personally, I think Preston had played himself into the backup role by this point. But we'll move on.
That's a discussion we can have.
I don't think it's unpopular opinion at this point in time, but Hoffenbach is a big one. We just need more numbers there. I think Ratama will come right. So to have four scrum halves is good. But Richie Mo'unga being back, I don't think it's a case of, because they've called him up for Billy Proctor, who's a centre.
Yes.
But just not going to throw him in at starting 10. He's going to be off the bench. He's going to be a depth option for sure, if he is even in the squad.
Yeah.
He's on the bench.
He's still got to learn the Rennie system, right?
Yep.
Like he's still got to learn all that stuff, the Rennie system, Mike Blair system.
Yep.
So he'll still have that. But a quality depth
I still
to
feel
have,
like
let's put it that way.
in the system they're playing, he will walk right into it. So
yeah,
I think, in my opinion. But let's forget about the game against the Sharks, because clearly we've forgotten everything which happened not even a week ago. But the game against the Bulls was yesterday. This was 50-19 in the end in Pretoria. The All Blacks, the Bulls had the All Blacks' number for the first 10 minutes of this game, and then the All Blacks absolutely destroyed their scrum like I've never seen before.
Yeah, man.
And then ended up scoring the first try of the game, basically off that. A few minutes down the road, thanks to Josh Morby. This was a more rotated squad, but a lot of players really put their hands up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
First of all, Cody Taylor, I think, is still the best hooker we can rely on.
If that front row, let's put it this way, and we'll talk about this as well. If that front row is not all involved in the first test squad, I would be very surprised.
And I think Tyrell Lomax has played himself back into starting. I know he's struggled with injuries, but I think, he showed in that game why he's been considered one of the best tight ends in the world. And then in the locking department, Fabian Holland just doing his thing.
Bro, I would never not be a fan of that guy as long as he doesn't do anything stupid.
I don't think you can hate him in any capacity. Like, he's just...
Oh, no, don't worry. The New Zealand media tried to.
Oh, yeah,
we'll leave that there. But he's an absolute machine, dude. He's an absolute machine.
He's a brilliant player. But in the Lucies, Anton Segner with an all-timer. An all-timer for him. That was, I couldn't count the amount of times he won the ball back, the amount of times he put on the hit, the amount of times he carried it hard. He was doing, we talk about there being All Blacks where like either their goal is like they're big runners or they're, involved in the breakdown, doing the dirty work. Yeah. I felt like he was doing a lot of everything.
He was doing both in that game. He was outstanding.
And it was amazing to see him playing so well, being Blues fans, seeing him rise up after coming on scholarship to go to school in the South Island, playing for Tasman, then coming up to Auckland to play for the Blues. Yeah. Awesome to see. Josh Jacob got the start at 10. I didn't think he looked that bad.
I think he's actually looked really good. So when he came off the bench against the Stormers, he was quite the stabiliser. He actually, the reason why we had such a good 10 to 15 minutes to end that game, I think a lot of it was down to Jacob's play at 10. I thought he played fantastic in this game as well.
I think he's a great stabiliser. I think he was very, very good. Just in general, kicked the 50-22. And then the rest of the back line, I don't think Bona Barrett put that much wrong in this game.
But he was solid, man.
I feel like in this Rennie system, fullback is probably his better position if you have if you have a stable 10 like Jacob in front of him. We will talk about what we think is going to happen in the first test. And
it's pretty hard though, outside of this game, to not think who had a bad one. Rico Ioane was fantastic.
Yep, Rico, looked very composed and at home in the 13 jersey, which was always his home. I don't need to rant again about the people who love to insist he was never a centre. I think, again, Leonard Brown was fine next to him.
Yep, true.
And then on the wings, I think Josh Morby was probably the better of him and Leroy Carter, but Leroy Carter still performed very well.
There was one point, I can't remember who of our commentators said it, but somebody after Leroy Carter caught a high ball said that Leroy Carter was very good under the high ball.
I did hear that. I'm like...
I had to pause on that one for a second.
I heard that. I was like, have we just been completely disregarding this? Or
what are we doing?
or was that a bit of a misquote?
Yeah, I did have to take a little bit of a pause there. It was a very good catch under a high ball, but I had to question. I was like, "That's Leroy Carter's a great player, but that's not what he's great at." But we'll take it.
I think Josh Morby has played himself into the first team, in my opinion.
Yep, I think Josh Morby's your starting 11.
I think he's starting at 11, and I think Rico, in my opinion, would have played himself onto the bench as the preferred centre wing cover backup, because Leonard Brown's not a winger. Rico has been a winger in his career. He's played very recently. He played against the Stormers on the wing and looked fine there. And when they moved him to 13, he looked even finer. Yeah. So, look, I think, in my opinion, Rico great performance. He's only played well in South Africa.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he played URC, maybe it is.
Very true.
But I don't think he's getting over either Geordie or Tupaia at all. Because
No,
we've
no,
already
no,
spoken
no,
about how
no,
good
no.
Geordie is. We already know how good Tupaia is. Apart from that, a good performance. Only one more midweek game. It's next week against the Lions. It'll be a 5 a.m. Wednesday kickoff.
And I'm going to presume with the test being before that, it'll be quite the rotated
It will
squad.
be a very rotated squad. I think it will basically feature no one. That's why I'm not even sure that Mwanga will feature in this game, because if they name him on the bench in the first test, they won't want to play him in this game, because then he'll barely be able to play in the second test.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this first test squad.
Yeah. Oh, and just before we end off that, I did want to say, I actually think that All Blacks game against the Bulls was the best game we've played on this tour. And a lot of people will look at that and be like, but we beat the Sharks 54-0. The difference with this game is we got challenged.
Yep.
And we stepped up.
And this
overcame
wasn't
it.
full of all of the players we're expecting to be in the tests.
Yeah.
This isn't the top team. And also, the Bulls are the best South African team, keep in mind. And
Yeah,
URC
yeah.
Sharks are known for not being that good at the moment.
Yeah.
So the fact we put out most of our first team starters against the Sharks and we won 54-0 seems like a foregone conclusion to a lot of people. But seeing what the Stormers did to a rotated team at the beginning of this tour and seeing what a lot of those same players did against the Bulls a week later and putting on 54 points and still dealing with parts of the game where the Bulls looked very good. Yeah, but I was very happy with that performance.
Yep, I think that's the best one we've had so far.
It makes me more confident with who I want in my squad to play against South Africa, and I'm happy to just roll off the bat my preferred match day 23.
Yeah, let's go with it, man.
for
Then
the
we can,
first
and then
test.
we can talk about this test.
The front row picks itself. It's De Groot, it's Cody Taylor, and it's Tyrell Lomax. It's harsh on Fletcher Newell, but I think Tyrell Lomax, if he's not starting, he will come off the bench and he'll be excellent.
Yeah.
At the locks, Fabian Holland has been excellent, but he's barely played a lot of rugby this year. So I'm not going to completely go out and say he's definitely starting.
Yep.
But I think if they do all the checks and they think everything looks good, I think he starts at 4. If it alongside him, it's very, very tough to pick who the next lock is. Is it Sam Darry? Is it Josh Lord? Is it Patrick Toi-Pelotu? Or is it Tupou Vaa'i? I am going to go based on what I feel like Rennie's preferences are, and I'm going to say he's probably going to pick Lord at 5. I would prefer Darry. And just for context, there won't be room on the bench for another lock. So it's going to be Darry or Lord. I'd prefer Darry. I think Lord gets selected, though. At 6, I think we basically assume this from the get-go at the start of the season. Tupou Vaa'i will be a blindside.
Yep.
7 is a tricky one because Jacobson has been the go-to, but at the same time, he seems like a guy who would be prone to making a discipline mistake, something we cannot afford against South Africa.
Yeah.
I personally think that Peter Lakai has played himself into the starting team. That is also a player who we forgot to mention just before was excellent against the Bulls.
Yep.
Either Lakai at 7 and Ardy at 8, or Ardy at 7 and Lakai at 8. Whatever way they want to go. Maybe they have Lakai at 7 to do more groundwork, and Savia does everything at 8.
Yep.
That's fine to me. Cam Roy got at 9. He should be fit alongside Will Jordan. They did say they are sweating on Damian McKenzie a little bit, and that poses a very interesting question. Roy got at 9 and Ruben Love at 10.
Yes.
I don't think you're changing that. The wing, well, we'll go centres first. It's Geordie and Tupaia.
Yep.
No questions. But then you get to the very interesting situation at the back 3. If D-Mac is fit, if he is fit, then he's at fullback.
Yep.
Will Jordan's on the right wing.
Yep.
Josh Morby's on the left wing.
Yep.
Easy peasy.
Yep.
If Damian McKenzie is not fit,
Yes.
do you move Will Jordan to fullback and bring in another winger? Or do you put someone else at fullback? The only other real options are Bowden reprises his role, which a lot of people would probably be completely horrified at that scene. But I don't know if it would be. I don't think it'd be the worst option, but it's not the option I think I would go with. The other option, which I do not agree with even more, is that you immediately start Richie Mo'unga at 10 and move Ruben Love to fullback. He's not played at fullback this season. He is a 10. Let's consider him a 10 for now.
Yep.
But the other options, which I'm more of a fan of, is you put Will Jordan back at fullback, and then on the right wing, you bring someone up. And thankfully, there are 3 options to bring on here.
Yeah.
You have Imoni Narawa, you have Leroy Carter, and you have Fehe. I think the safe option out of those 3 is Imoni Narawa.
The safe option.
The safe option. Because despite what the commentators said about Leroy Carter against the Bulls, high ball is a concern. But when you have Morby and Jordan involved, then you might feel a bit more relaxed on having Leroy Carter. Yes, he's probably the best winger out of the 3. I would say that. He was good against the Bulls. But if they're fine, he played against South Africa last year in Wellington. We all know what happened in Wellington. So, although was he opposite Narawa in the Auckland game, or was it Clark opposite him?
Narawa scored the first try,
and then he was injured,
Park, and then he fractured his rib and punctured his lung.
Yeah,
don't ask me how that happened.
No,
but yes, so he scored the first try. He was opposite Clark in that. Did Clark play in that game? Yes, I think he did. But Narawa did play in this game.
I mean, who
in this game, the Auckland, the game at Eden Park.
So yes, I think for what we're expecting to face against South Africa, Narawa's probably the safe option.
Yes.
Fehe, I feel like if he's on his game, would be the best option. But at the same time, he's barely played in an All Blacks jersey. It's a very hard decision.
Yeah.
Do you throw him in right now? Because he's a great player. And he has the connection with Josh Morby, who I assume he'll be starting with.
Yeah.
But it's a really tough ask.
Do I dare say, just throwing this out there for your team, do I dare say,
I know what
for
you're saying.
Experience, you bring Rico onto the wing?
In this case, I wouldn't be that upset because he
I wouldn't
showed
be that upset either.
he showed he could play well on the wing. And I'm not being hypocritical by saying he could play well on the wing when I consider him a centre. He is a centre,
Yes.
but he also has the great ability of also being able to play on the wing.
Yes.
Not only being a winger. Shut your pie holes. But I think on the wing, he and Josh Morby can easily play on the right. Rico mostly played on the left. So I feel like it wouldn't be the worst option. But I do see Rico as a guy who is the perfect guy at 23 on the bench.
Yeah.
And I will quickly rattle off my bench very soon.
Yeah.
So to remind everyone what I've concocted, I have got the group, Taylor, Lomax, Holland, and Lord/Derry.
Yep.
I'm cheating. You got Vai. I didn't actually... Vai, Lakai, Savia.
You did say that.
Roy Garden Love.
Yep.
And we're going to assume Mackenzie's fit.
Yes.
Morby and Jordan on the wings, Geordie and Tupaia in the centres.
Yep. With Mackenzie at the back.
And Mackenzie at the back. My bench, I have a Safo Almora at hooker, not Tokiaho.
Yeah.
I have as my backup loose head, Xavier Numia, who I thought was good.
Excellent.
Excellent against the Sharks.
Yep.
Not the Sharks, the Bulls. And then I have Fletcher Newell as backup tight end.
Yep.
And then on the bench, would have Luke Jacobson with Wallace Satiti, not including Anton Segner, hurts my soul. I think if he is in there, it's probably for... Do you take out Jacobson or Satiti? It's a really tough question.
I don't think it's a tough question for me.
Who are you taking out?
I'm taking Satiti out.
Yeah, it's just he struggled with fitness. He struggled with form in some parts. He did score at the end against the Bulls. But,
he did.
You know, you have to be careful with pushing players too quickly or putting them in the wrong games at the wrong time. But at 9, I would have Kyle Preston, mostly because Radama could be injured, and Hopham's only just joining the team.
Yeah.
And then on my bench, I have Rico Ioane at 23, and I have Richie Moana. All
right.
Yep.
So I pretty much have the exact same team that you have. So I'll just go through the changes so we don't have this for too long.
Yes.
So even though he's only played 2 games, he's too much of a machine. Fabian Holland's in there for me.
Yep.
I'm starting Derry anyway.
Yep.
I think both of them are absolute machines, and you need absolute machines. And I think Derry has played his way into that. Although Josh Lord, I will say, ball skills galore for a lock.
He's improved so much over the last 2 seasons, which is awesome to see.
So I wouldn't necessarily be mad.
No.
But I do think that it's going to be, I do think it will be Holland and Derry. And also, I want to see Holland, Derry, and Vai, who I also have at 6. That's a combo I really want to see play together.
It does pay me not to have Toi Pelotu in the squad at all, but unfortunately, it's just fitting the right players in.
Yeah.
And Paddy's so good, but he just misses out.
Yeah. With 7, I still think they're going to go Jacobson. And I think it's off you are right about the discipline stuff, but also Jacobson is the most, probably outside of Savia, the most experienced flanker we have.
Oh, he is.
And those 3 in the Nations Championship test did play very well together.
Yes.
So I do think Jacobson will still start at 7, but Vai at 6, Jacobson at 7, Savia at 8, 9, 10, as long as they're healthy, Cam Roygaard, Ruben Love. With the wings, Damien McKenzie presuming health. For me, it's Morby, who I think actually would have started over Clark anyway.
Yeah, I actually think he would have.
Morby, Jordan, McKenzie. If McKenzie is out for this game, then I am going Morby, Will Jordan at the back, and I actually think they would play Leroy Carter there.
On the right?
On the right.
Yeah.
So I agree with you with Moni and Ottawa being the safer option, especially under the high ball, and you have to think about that when it comes to a South African team in general, as we've seen in these first 3 games, and they're not even the South African national team.
No.
But I think Carter seemingly played more.
Yeah.
And another one was injured for the Nations Championship test, but he has played more, and I think they'll look at that and be like, okay, let's go, because you do have Morby, who's great under the high ball on one side. Will Jordan can take a high ball at the back as well. Bring a winger in there who has been playing pretty good.
Yes.
So I think Carter will start there, but it's also Geordie and Quinn in 12 and 13. On the bench, I do think it'll be O'Moore. I do think it'll be Numia. I do think it'll be Fletcher Newell. At 19 and 20, I have the 19 and 20 that I believe started the Irish game, and that is Lakai and Signa.
Yeah.
I know how much it pains you to not have Signa there, but I think that Signa, not only just in this game, but I think has been solid in the games he's played for the All Blacks this year.
In the game against the Bulls, he's played himself into the Test 23.
Yeah.
But it's just like, who the hell does he get over? Even though you could argue that he gets over more players, it's just the logistics of it.
I do get that, but I think you're playing. Signa, I think has to, not has to, but I think Signa's playing in this game.
Yeah.
And also, like we said before, the difference between him and Satiti is that Signa can still carry it up hard. Signa's a bigger guy than you think.
He's huge.
And at the same time, is the breakdown work, dude.
Yeah.
Now, Satiti, I think, ended up almost getting a turnover in this game, in one of these games anyway. But Signa's work rate is just insane.
He's great.
So I'm having Signa there with Lakai, because you've got Vai at 6 anyway, so you don't need lock cover.
Yeah.
And then it's going to depend on injury. If his knee is fine, I think Artem is still there, and I think that's purely off an experience thing. I also, and I said this before, and maybe I'm going to sound dumb.
What, the 1 extra year of experience he has?
Yeah. But but also this is why I got surprised that Hotham didn't get called up into the squad. I do truly think that everything Preston is doing, Hotham could do.
Yeah, I think so as well, which that's partially why I think Preston could be the backup in this situation. But there's no reason why you can't have Hotham in there as well. But maybe it's a real question of Ranima versus Hotham and Preston. You know, I think it's
But actually, you know what? Let's put it this way: I'm going to have Preston in the reserve halfback role, and then 22 and 23. So I'm purely going off the pattern that we've seen in the big games from Dave Rennie and his staff, which is not to have backup 10 or 10 and 15, but have really either 2 centres or a centre and a winger.
Yeah.
Which I actually think has worked really well.
Yeah.
Because you do have Ruben Love that can play at the back. So, and Will Jordan who can go off the wing and then play at the back. That's probably the more important one. So I actually think it'll be both Leonard Brown and Ioane.
That's probably
so I think it'll be Leonard Brown. Yeah, I mean it doesn't really matter, but Leonard Brown 22 and then Rieko Ioane 23. Although I think Rieko Ioane has outplayed Leonard Brown.
Although I would have loved to see Tafatafa Nawai involved. He had a great little cameo against the Bulls, but I feel like they probably won't unleash him until like the third test.
Well, let's put it this way. I could definitely see Tafatafa Nawai starting at 12 against the Lions.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's a foregone.
I think that could happen.
That'll have to happen with the rotation and whatnot.
But that's who I've got for my team. But yeah, man, I mean, we've weathered the storm.
Yeah,
we've swam with the Sharks. We raced against the Bulls, and now it's time to beat the Box.
Now,
baby.
where did you steal that from? And does it rhyme with wet weepy tea?
I didn't actually get that from ChatGPT.
I know.
I got that from a TikTok caption.
I knew you got it from
That is
somewhere.
what I got that from. But it's fantastic. A fantastic saying. But in terms of this game, man, I think for me, what I'm going to look for from the All Blacks is and I hate putting it this way, but it's the double Ds. And that...
Double Ds.
And that is discipline.
Yep.
And defense. The big thing with the Bulls game, with discipline, wasn't necessarily us committing penalties and stuff. It was more, I think we need the last passes to go through. And if we want to play the way that we've been playing, that last pass is going to need to be way better.
But in terms of the penalty penalty side of things, with discipline against the Bulls, I didn't think it was much of an issue at all.
It wasn't an issue at all.
I was like, I'm not like I'm thinking about discipline the whole time.
No.
It's like, we're
Not at
doing
all.
very, very well. And then, defense is defense. You know, we have to be good. We have to weather the storm. You know, the South Africans play a very specific type of rugby.
Yeah.
You know, and it's their right to play that type of rugby. We just have to get used to it.
I think the more important thing with both of those is it forces us to play in positions where we want to be on the field and forces South Africa not to. Now, that's an easier said than done. And you may look at these scores in an All Blacks fan and go, man, we're good to go. The South African, playing a proper South Africa team, nah.
And in South Africa,
and also, we've lost the last 4 or 5 games against them, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we only lost the last one because we beat them in Auckland. You were there, mate.
That is true, but also before that.
Oh, yeah, we lost both games in South Africa in 2024. We lost to them in the World Cup final, and we lost to them in a warm-up before the World Cup.
So it's really, we've lost the last 5 or 6.
Yeah, we haven't had the best record of them since 23. No. But there's always time.
I will say, I am interested to see this specific South Africa team this year because guys are getting old.
Some guys are getting old, some guys are injured, and some guys maybe aren't hitting the form they
That's
thought
not
they
to
would.
say they don't have a quality squad. They very much do.
They do, and they have a lot of depth.
They're the best team in the world for a reason.
Let's see what happens on Sunday.
Yep. I really want to say that we're going to win, but I almost don't think we will. I hate putting that out there because I don't want to as an All Blacks fan.
I think it will be competitive, but we'll see who gets to win. I don't want to go out on my chest and say we'll win or say we'll lose or say we'll draw. But, you know...
Because you're a pussy.
Watch it.
Let's put it this way. You're about to see the most quality rugby, hopefully, that you've ever seen.
It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be tired as shit at 3 a.m. on Sunday watching it.
Big facts.
We'll be there, you know?
Yeah, we'll be there, man.
As we move on to the international rugby.
Finally move on to international sport.
Well, there's only a couple of things. US 15, this wasn't an official match, defeated an Argentinian 15 at Inter Miami Stadium in Florida.
I think it was a full USA team, was it not?
It wasn't a full international because they named the player who isn't actually eligible for them yet.
Okay, fair enough.
So 25-24. Australia smacked Japan in Townsville after almost losing to them the week before in Osaka, 56-17.
Good comeback.
And then on the women's side of rugby, the South African women's team defeated Fiji in Lautoka, 29-22.
Yeah, they played a game previously as well. I think we talked about this last week. South Africa pumped the Fijians, but Lautoka is a tough place to play.
It's a tough place to play. And finally, we'll end off with the international football. I will actually reverse what I've got written down here and quickly just read out the latest transfer and rumours goss. Rodri to Barcelona will be completed very, very soon. There's an agreement with both the club and the player. Man City are going to sign Ayub Boadi from Lille as his replacement, which is crazy. Rodri will be joined at Barcelona by João Cancelo, who is rejoining from Al Hilal.
Yes.
And Zion Suzuki's not joining PSG. That deal fell through, and now he's going to join Villa instead for 35 million euros. Barcola of PSG is still linked with Liverpool, and PSG have already confirmed the signings of both Mika Götze from Ajax for 45 million euros and Ferran Torres from Barcelona for 50 million euros.
Can we pause on here for a second? Not about PSG specifically, but more about Aston Villa going out and getting Zion Suzuki for 35 mil, which I think is as a future guy, especially with Emi Martinez there. But I did hear this thing where Emi Martinez was looking like getting sold somewhere, but the price tag was 8 mil.
Yeah.
What the frick,
I mean,
mate?
he's like 35.
I know that, but it should be higher than that. Look at what he
No.
did in this World Cup final.
But
I think it'd be higher than 8 mil.
To be fair,
Give me 15, 20 at least.
If you look at the last 4 Premier League seasons, he kind of he's the guy who just turns up internationally.
Fair. I haven't watched much Aston Villa games, to be honest.
I think a lot of people
I'm too busy
say
watching League frickin' One, but
if you are even watching League frickin' One.
No, I did actually watch the first game.
Oh no!
Yeah,
of course you did.
I did watch Leicester City's first game against Notts County.
Did you win?
No, we drew 1-1. But also there were some Leicester fans will know there were some solid performances from some guys.
That's good.
But clearly League One we're actually going to have to play, and also I think we're getting used to a new manager and the way they play as well.
You're going to have to play.
I was very surprised at that being floated around at only 8 mil. But if you're right about his Premier League, then I get it.
Yeah. Joey Verman of PSV is joined Borussia Dortmund, for 21.5 million euros. Coventry signed 2 new strikers, Taro Awanui from Nottingham Forest and Sadiki Cherif from Fenerbahce. That's like a 25 million euro signing.
Yes.
Aman Dedic is joining Newcastle from Benfica. He's a fullback for 35 million euros.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of fullbacks, Jed Spence has swapped Spurs for Inter Milan for 35 million euros. You sent it to me.
Yes, I was about to say.
Leeds have signed Borussia Mönchengladbach defender Nico Elvedi. Matteo Ruggeri from Atletico Madrid is also joining Villa for 25 million euros.
Yep.
Enzo Fernandez is still linked with Man City, while Tiani Reinders is already leaving Man City and going to Al Qadaish in Saudi Arabia for 61 million euros. Christian Romero has joined Atletico Madrid for 40 million. Benoit Badiashile of Chelsea has joined Napoli on loan with a 27 million pound buy option. Liam Delap is linked to Como, and Chelsea have also signed left back Pep Chavaria from Rayo Vallecano.
Yep.
Everton's Iliman Ndiaye has rejected Al Hilal. What a man. Usman Diomande has joined Nottingham Forest for 40 million euros, and Hull City have signed 2 young centre backs, and Lucas Harrington from Colorado Rapids for 15 million euros, and Noble Mendy from Rayo Vallecano for 25 million euros. Have also brought back Joe Galhard from Leeds. And we've brought in Lucas Corner-Durf from a team in Europe somewhere. Forgot where he is.
Somewhere.
And then finally, Everton and Crystal Palace have swapped wingers. Dwight McNeil going to Crystal Palace, Brennan Johnson to Everton. As we move on to the first competitive matches for some teams, PSG defeated Aston Villa in the UEFA Super Cup final last week, 2-1, thanks to goals from Kvaratskhelia and Desire Doué, but 17-year-old Brian Maggio scored on his competitive debut for Villa. The England Youth International has 3 full international caps for Luxembourg, as he was mostly raised there. But he was born in England and is back in England after joining Villa for Metz in January. There was a bit of a stink up with FIFA because even though he was English, born in England, the fact he played for Luxembourg, FIFA was saying he couldn't play for Villa because it was an international transfer, despite the fact he was English going to England. So they managed to clear it up. He is, they said he had to wait till he was 18, which is not until next year, but he has been cleared. He can play for Villa. He played in the Super Cup.
Yeah.
He looks like a big prospect. Arsenal defeated Man City this morning in the Community Shield 3-0. Calafiori, Havertz, and Odegaard getting on the score sheet. The Prem, the Bundesliga, Serie A, and Ligue 1 all start this weekend, but La Liga kicked off on Sunday with 12 teams playing their first games before Friday this week, and then the second match day starting on Friday, and then the first match day also continuing the week after. I'm not sure what they're doing in Spain. No major results of note. I looked at it, nothing crazy. But the Premier League kicks off on Saturday morning at 7 a.m.
Yes, sir.
Arsenal take on Coventry. We'll post something about our Premier League fantasy thing because it is live. I'll post a story about it because I don't have it on me. And then Hull City host Man United on Saturday at 11:30 p.m.
Also, just before we get into the next thing, and when we take a deep breath for a second, I did actually want to see, okay, my boys Bilbao haven't played yet.
No.
No, great. They start their season against Barcelona on Friday morning.
It's always good.
That is fantastic. But let's take a pause because it is time.
Well, I was just about to read off the other Premier League matches.
Go for it.
This week. Your 2 a.m. Sunday matches are Ipswich Town versus Sunderland and Everton versus Palace and Nottingham Forest versus Leeds. Kiwi action there with Chris Wood. Your Sunday 4:30 a.m. game is Brentford versus Spurs. Your Monday morning games at 1 a.m. are Man City versus Bournemouth and Brighton versus Aston Villa. You then have Newcastle versus Liverpool at 3:30 a.m. on Monday, and then 7 a.m. on Tuesday, it's Fulham versus Chelsea.
All right.
So we won't have a result for that. And as Dylan was getting into before I rudely interrupted him, it's time for CouchSide's annual Premier League predictions.
We're going to get hopefully an intro bit at some point for that. But yeah, man, let's rock and roll. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I have some football knowledge, but not a lot. This guy, way more knowledgeable at football than I am.
Still a casual at heart, but let's...
We're all still casuals at heart. We're not playing in the Premier League.
We will read out, I think, who we predict to finish relegated first. I'll do my top 3.
You want to go there? Okay.
Well, I'll do my bottom 3, you'll do your bottom 3, and we'll work our way up in stages.
Let's go.
So at 20th position, I have Ipswich Town. And that is purely because...
Of course you do.
purely because I did some math. I looked at the last 10 sets of promoted teams to the Premier League, and the average position of second, when you take out their best and worst potential finishes, was the lowest of the 3. So mathematically, Ipswich being the bottom of the promoted teams makes sense.
You're clearly a Hull City fan.
What doesn't make sense is that I have Coventry at 19th, which is a shame because they both spent some money, they both recruited well, but I don't know, I've just got a gut feeling. But I think it will be close with the team who I've predicted to finish 18th, because they have been a team who have been pretty good. They've won a few trophies recently, but they've lost their manager, they've lost some players. I don't know what's going on. It's Crystal Palace.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to say much more than that.
I could see that.
But who do you have in your bottom 3? And I'm predicting a certain team with 4 letters starting with H's in 20th.
Now, I know you're a massive Hull City fan, but I have to do it. And it's not necessarily...
So they are 20th?
They are 20th.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, they are 20th. No, I put them first. No, they are 20th for me. I think it's more... and they have made some signings, which is cool. I just... I hate putting it this way, but they miraculously made it through the playoffs. They did. And I'm not sure enough.
And they're going to miraculously make it through the Prem.
Yeah, of course they are. And I'm not sure how much has changed. I don't think enough has changed, sorry. Not changed, but enough has evolved.
Bold from you, Mr. I support the 1001 to odd Premier League winners, Leicester City.
This is very true, but also we're in League One. Playing Notts County. Although shout out to Notts County.
Shout out
Now, 19th might surprise some people. But I feel like they're your Crystal Palace. 19th, I've got Notts Forest.
Oh, yeah.
I've got Notts Forest. Look, let's be real. They lost Elliot Anderson.
They have lost Elliot Anderson.
Who was their best player.
Didn't look great in the Community Shield.
No.
So,
and also at the same... I know they're finishing the Champions League place very recently, and they've still got our boy Chris Wood, so it pains me to say it. But I think it's going to be tough.
They do have the former Palace manager in Ollie Glasner now, I think. And they've also signed Diamande. I think they've still got some good players, but... I don't know.
At risk. I feel like it's a decline. It's a steady but fairly fast decline.
They are at risk of going down.
And then 18th, this is where, and it was, to me, it was a flip. But my gut feeling says 18th is Coventry. Like we've said, they made some signings and they dominated the championship. But Premier League is a different level.
It is.
And the flip is between them and who I've got in 17th, which I can just say now is Ipswich. But the reason I put Ipswich not getting relegated and them in 18th is because Ipswich have been in the Prem more recently. And also Ipswich did sign my boy Abdul Fatawu from Leicester.
But Ipswich also, their manager just left the team after getting promoted. So
I know that too.
It's a massive thing. And in 17th, I've got Tottenham Hotspur. Just kidding, I've got Hull. I have got Hull.
It could happen. It's happened two years in a row.
It's
so
the
who
great
knows?
escape for Hull. I've got.
Should we go 17th to 13th?
We'll do 16th to 13th. As we've already rattled off our 7 teams. 16th. I've just realised I put Crystal Palace here twice. Who was that supposed to be? That would be Fulham. I've got Fulham in 16th.
Yep.
Maybe a bit low, but new manager, lost Harry Wilson, lost a few guys.
Yep.
I've got them 16th. In 15th, I have the team who signed Harry Wilson. Leeds United. They've signed James Trafford. They've signed a couple of guys.
Yep.
I just don't know if it's going to be enough. And I have Forest at 14th.
Okay.
And it's not going to get any better for the Geordies. I have Newcastle at 13th.
Okay, so for 16th, that's where I have Crystal Palace.
Yep.
Leeds I have at 15th, like you.
And
14th, I have Fulham. And then 13th, maybe a little bit of a surprise, I have Brentford.
Yeah.
I have Brentford, who I think will be around that sort of 10 to 13 area anyway.
Yeah.
But I have Brentford at 13. So I guess we'll go 12 to just before Europe.
Oh, we'll do 12 and 11 rapid fire.
Yep, let's go.
I've got Everton at 12 and
Yep.
Sunderland at 11.
I have got Newcastle at 12. I think I understand that they haven't been able to sign anybody they want to, but I think that team is too quality to be 13 to 16th. And then 11th, I have them improving quite a bit, but I know how many signings they've made, big ones, but I still think they've still got to do a little bit better. And that is Spurs. I've got Spurs at 11.
Yeah.
So there you go. But we get into the close to Europe now, to European spots. So do you want me to rattle off my 10 to 8? Should we go 10
We'll
to
do
8?
10 to 8, bro.
So 10th, even though they've lost a bit, lost their manager, I still think it's a quality side. 10th, I've got Bournemouth. And then 9th, I know they had an excellent season coming up, but I think they will drop a little bit. And I don't think they've actually made any signings that I know of. 9th, I've got Sunderland. And then 8th, I heavily underestimated them last year. I will not make that same mistake again. 8th, I've got Everton.
Yeah.
That's my 10 to 8.
You did massively underrate them, but also last year I predicted Sunderland would finish 17th.
It was very true.
So in 12th, I have... Well, no, what are we doing? Sorry, we're doing...
10 to 8.
10 to 8. I've got Bournemouth in 10th as well.
Yes.
I've got Brentford in 9th.
Yes.
And I have got Tottenham Hotspur in 8th.
I don't think that's a mad. I don't think
I
that's
don't
mad.
think it's mad at all.
Yeah, well, you did make it.
Because I made that prediction.
Now we're getting to the European spots. What, 7 to 5?
We'll do 7 to 5 and I'll kick off. I've got Brighton and Hove Albion at 7.
Yep.
I have got, because lack of depth, even though I like the manager they've hired, I have Liverpool at 6th.
Wow. Okay.
And I have Chelsea at 5th.
Okay. So
Boom, boom, boom.
I have got Brighton at 7, as you have. If I remember, you slightly underestimated Brighton in your predictions last year. I told you not to.
No.
I told you that Brighton team somehow find young players from the woodwork. Maybe they're popping them out of the water down there in Brighton.
Possibly.
But they always just have a really solid team. And I think they're playing Europe this year anyway. 6th, I think for me, I think Morgan Rogers is going to be a massive loss. I've got Aston Villa at 6th.
Right.
Even though they just signed Suzuki. And then 5th, I love a little bit of Xabi Alonso ball, baby, as a Leverkusen fan. But I still think Chelsea won't crack that top 4, so I've got them in 5th. Very similar to you.
I will wrap off my top 4 very quickly then.
Go on.
At 4, I've got Manchester City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Mariska's gonna put them down a little bit, is it?
It's still but it's still teething issues. They were second last
see what
year,
you
but
mean.
they weren't a standout second by any means. And at third, this does mean my top 3 is a bit funky. At third, I've got Aston Villa. I still think they've got the right manager, the right players who are remaining. They've brought in the right players to replace Morgan Rogers.
It's still a quality side.
It's still a quality side.
Don't let me get that second twisted because I put them at 6. It's still a quality side.
At second, I have... This is hard to predict them at second because it takes a lot of my pride. Man United at second.
Wow.
I think it will be a case of people around them getting worse, not them getting better. And then number 1, I have Arsenal going back to back because I don't think there's any team catching them. And I'm interested to see how you have predicted the top 4 with Arsenal at first.
So my 4 is 4th. I've got Man United. Now the reason I say this, and I've seen this happen with football managers all the time.
Yeah.
One comes in and does really well the first year and falls off the second.
Yep.
I do think there'll be a little bit of a fall off with Michael Carrick as manager of Man U, but I still have them in Champions League spot in 4. I think that team is too quality not to be in and around that. Yep. Third, I think they will be much better than last year, and there are heaps of fans of Liverpool at work. I have Liverpool at 3rd. Second, once again, not a standout second, but I still have them second. I have Man City. And they pretty much, and I know because he managed Leicester to winning the championship, but Enzo Maresca is pretty much a little Pep Guardiola. So I don't think the teething issues will be as bad, although I think they will be there. And I think Rodri is a huge loss. So I could see them dropping down to 4th, like you have, but I have them at second. And then it pains me to say it. but I have Arsenal repeating again.
Yeah.
I mean, and they just signed Bruno Guimaraes. Like,
Yeah.
like what are we doing here?
What are we doing? But those are our predictions. They're going to be horrific when we look back over them on the year. But
Let us know yours though.
let us
please.
know yours. Who do you have winning? Who do you have going relegated? And what is your underrated or your hot take for the season?
Is it Hull winning the Premier League?
It's Hull winning the Premier League.
For the happiness of this guy.
But on that bombshell, that is us for another week. Thank you very much again
Yes.
for watching the CouchSide Sports Report. I've been Simon. That has been Dylan. And if you haven't already, CouchSide.network on TikTok and Instagram. Give
Yeah.
us a follow. Very, very please. Very, very much. I can't speak English.
Very, very pleased.
Very, very pleased. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Spotify, wherever you listen. Leave a like, leave a comment if you have something to say if it's not you being a dick. But Dylan,
Yeah.
thank you very much for having me once again.
Thank you for joining me again, sir.
We will be back same place, same time next week. We'll be talking about what happens in that first test against the All
sir.
Blacks and the Springboks. We'll be talking about what happened in the first week of the Premier League.
Yep.
And also a whole bunch of other stuff which happened around the world. But Dylan, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And that will be us. And I'll let you see,
All right.
see us
Well,
out.
you know how we do's it.
Yep.
Man, let's go. Couchside out.
CouchSide out.